blank. All right, so up in this top part, to get the equation, it says we're going to plug values in for m, x, and y. So what we're going to do is we're going to pause for a moment. Again, equation. I've got x, I've got y, and they give me what m is going to be. All right, we're talking about number one. Number one, my first job, okay, step one, is to plug in y, m, and x. So y equals m x plus b. I just plug in all the values that I have, and the one value I don't have b yet. So once I have that, I'm just going to multiply these together. So 2 times 3 gets me to 6, and what's my one step going to be to get to b by itself? Subtract 6. Okay? So once I get those plugged in, basically I've only got one step to get my b. But again, to get the equation so I can graph this, I've got one more piece I have to deal with. Yeah, because now if you notice, step 2, plug that into m and b, I have y equals m x plus -8, or I can just write -8. Okay. That's the equation of my line that I'm now going to draw. So, when I get here, when I get to the graphing, you've even got some help kind of with the clues there. Okay, we're going to plot the y-intercept first. Which number is the y-intercept? -8. Okay, so that's my y-intercept. So what direction am I going to go 8 to get to a y-intercept of -8? Down 8. Big old dot. Okay, and then right, my slope, I always look at like a fraction. So if my slope is 2 over 1, I'm going to go up 2 and right 1. And I can do that a couple of times here to make sure my line looks good. And connect the dots. But again, up top, the steps are going to be there for you. And if you want to use the note packet, you're absolutely free to do so. Number 2, I'm being told easy. All right, let's check this out. Okay, here's my x. Here's my y. So y equals m x plus b. And yes, that does make it easy. Because y? Anything multiplied by 0 is 0. So that basically goes away, and b is 5. That's about as easy as it gets. So once we get there, now we go back. Y equals, what's my slope? What's my m? 2 over 3. M x plus b. That's the graph that I need to plot down here. So let's see here. Yep, we're starting at my y-intercept, which is the number that's hanging out on the end. So 5 is positive, so I go up on my y. Okay, and then up 2 and right 3. So up 2, 3, up 2, and right 3. Get my line through there. Okay, and there's some things I know about this. Like I see that's a positive slope, so I know my line should be going up to the right. If it doesn't, I know something's not quite right. So that's what I do if I have a point in the graph. For the next part, let's just get y alone and then graph. Now, if I see the parentheses, distribute, yes. So one step before I get my y alone, I'm going to distribute. Remember, the 3 goes to the x, and it goes to the minus 4 part. So how do I get y by itself now? So after I distribute, I'm going to add the 8. Notice I'm doing it under the 12, okay, not under the 3x. My 8 has nothing to do with x. Negative 12 plus 8 is 4. Once we got our y alone, we go into graphing mode. My y-intercept's sitting on the end, so how do I get to a y-intercept of negative 4? Down 4. So that first move is always up or down, depending on what my intercept is. And then our slope, we always like it to be a fraction, so if it's not 1, I'm going to make it 1. Go up 3, and right. Up 3, and right back. Draw a line. And I'm good. So the whole thing with any of these, really, is to get that equation into that y equals form, and then I'm good to go. So 4 is going to work the same way. Distribute, and since it's a negative 2, negative 2 times positive 3 is going to be negative 6. It's those little detail things we got to watch out for. Sometimes they can be quite the tricky thing. Last step to get y alone, though. Minus 4, so I got to get that plus 4 out of there. And again, that goes with the minus 6 part. My 4 doesn't have an x with it. Let's see here. I was hoping we would mention that. That's why this one's here. Yeah, because you're looking like, well, my y-intercept is negative 10. So if I go down 10, I'm at the very bottom of my graph here. So how the heck am I supposed to go down 2 and right 1 then? Well, here's our deal. Because you're right. The way it's written right now, I'd have to go down 2 and right 1. But if I switch the negative, and I'm allowed to, but the negative can go on either one, I could have 2 over negative 1, which means I go up 2 and left 1. So I can go up 2 and left. Up 2 and left. So if you run out of room going one way, you've always got the option to go the opposite of both of them. And that way I can still make my points, and I don't run out of room. But again, it's just kind of getting all this stuff together, kind of working it through a little bit more. Okay? So as we turn the page, alright, let's see what we got coming up next here. Looking at the equation of the line given, tell what the slope would be of a line parallel to it and perpendicular to it. Reminder, parallel means it's the same slope. Perpendicular, we flip it and switch the sign. So, in my initial equation, before I even think about this stuff, what's my slope? Okay, 5 or 5 over 1. So when I want the slope of the line that's parallel, it's the same slope. So I just copy whatever slope I had in my original problem, 5 over 1. That's right. So for perpendicular, you flip it, 1 over 5, and switch the sign. So since it was positive before, now it's negative. I got my perpendicular slope. I'm good to go. The second one, let's see how sharp we are today. What's my slope initially for number 6? Negative 2. It's the number in front of x. I switched it around to see if I could fool you, but that's not happening. So my parallel, I leave the same. Again, it's just the number in front of x. And perpendicular, I flip it over, And since it was negative, now it becomes positive. I'm good. So for 7 then, what's my parallel slope going to be? 3 over 4. It's just the number in front of x. And perpendicular, right. I flip it over. And since it was positive before, now it becomes negative. So that's all we're doing there. And that's helping us in these next 2 parts. It says write an equation, slope-intercept form of the line that passes through the given point and is parallel to the graph. So, bump this up a little. Still have our help up here at the top. So, I got my x, got my y, and I have my slope, because again, it's the same. Excellent call, sir. When we're doing the parallel and perpendiculars, we're getting rid of that y-intercept value at the end. We don't want to think we need to use that for something. So when I get here, I'm back doing my y equals mx plus b. And it should kind of get into the old hand at this point, that we're just doing that kind of same thing. Whenever we're looking to find an equation, this is the step we're going to take. So I plug them in. I do my 1 step to get b by itself. And I get my b. So once I have that, what's my actual equation going to look like at the end? Y equals mx plus b. So the only difference between this and those first couple of problems that we did on the front is we actually have to look at the equation to get our slope. Otherwise, it's the same thing. Same deal going here. Take my slope straight from the problem. There's my x and my y to plug in. And here we go. Y equals mx plus b. And the only real thing I think we got to watch out for here is remembering negative times negative makes that a positive. And then again, yep. Just the 1 step to get it out of there. Get the b. Here we go. Y equals, here comes my equation. There's my m value. And then I can put plus negative 6, or I can just put the minus 6. Yeah, we're going to here, since I'm doing perpendicular, okay, I'm going to take my slope here. I'm going to flip it over. Again, perpendiculars are flip it and switch the sign. But here I don't necessarily need the fraction as much. So I'm going to use negative 4 as my m. Okay, I can't just use the same one. That would be parallel. But once I do that part, everything else is exactly the same as what we've been doing. Get my first step ready to go here. We've got y, with my point, equals mx plus b. Negative times negative is positive. Wow, that's going to be a big B. Well, actually, a real small b. Get that 32 out of there. Man, if we were graphing this one, we'd be in trouble. So my b is 30. Here, get the equation. Get my y equals, I'm only plugging in for m and b when I get to the end. There's my m. There's my b. But you just notice, it's the same steps. It's just where am I getting my slope from? That's the big deal here. Where's that slope? So here, I see my initial slope in front of x is negative 2 over 1, but I want perpendicular. So yep, I need to flip the fraction, which would be 1 over 2. And since it was negative, it becomes positive. So 1 over 2 is my slope. So let's plug away here. Y equals m x plus c. So let's see here. What's half of 4? 2. Plus c. Don't let the fractions get you. B is going to equal 0. And again, just plug them in. Y equals m x plus c. Do not have to have the plus 0. If you put it, it's fine. If you don't, yep, y equals half x is all good. But just keep noticing, it's the same step. Same step. Oh. Oh, but it's not negative 1, because my initial slope was negative. Remember, you flip it and you change the sign. So my slope is positive 1/2 on that one. Okay? Good to check on the question. So, let's see what's getting thrown our way next here. Ooh, inequalities. Alright. So, let's see here. Graph the inequality. Okay. We got this. What do I do first? What's my y-intercept on number 12? Okay, 3. Well, 3, I put a dot. Where am I going for my slope then? Okay, now, down 2 and right 1. Don't put a line through yet, though. Make yourself a few dots. Here's one place we got to remind ourselves of something. If there's no line underneath, okay, my arrow, doesn't matter if it's greater than or less than. Yeah, it's going to be dotted or it's going to be dashed. So when I make my line here, I don't want it solid all the way through. And we talked before when we were doing inequalities, if it's greater than, if the y is getting eaten by the arrow, we're going to shade on the side where the big y values are, where the 10 is positive 10. Okay. Why? Because an inequality says any number that fits this would work. Well, if any number that fits this works, there's a whole lot of answers. So whenever you get the arrow, we've got to figure out a place to be able to shade in. Every single point in this area would work if I plugged it in. It would be a true statement. Yeah, whole boatload. And then 13, I got one step before I can graph it. What do I have to do to get y by itself? Plus the 2. Now this time, since I have the or equals 2 underneath, I'm going to have a solid line. So when I graph this, my y-intercept 3, a nice big old dot there when y is 3. And then my slope, remember, is going to be a fraction. So what directions am I heading here? down 3 and right 1. Let's do that a couple of times here. It's a solid line. And since y is less than, since the arrow's pointing at y instead, I want to go where the most negative numbers are for y. So I go down here below. I'm going to shade in there. But again, all these questions when I'm looking into the test, like number 12 and 13, probably be like 2-point questions. One for graphing a line and one for the shading. So if shading's not your thing, still don't skip it. Still do the part that you can. And we can always get that for it. Okay? Write an equation in slope-intercept form. These should be the 2 easiest questions on the test tomorrow. Y equals, remember, my slope is m. My y-intercept is b. So y equals mx plus b. Done. No math work to do, no add or subtract or nothing. Just plug the numbers in and circle it. Same thing here. Slope is my m, y-intercept is my b. Y equals mx plus b. On to the next one. Again, not trying to make life difficult, are you? Do more like that, just plug them in and go. Make the whole test like that. Yeah, I'm not thinking it's quite would work. Yeah, that's not quite going to work out for us. All right, write an equation in slope-intercept form. So A, find the slope. Okay, I'm giving you the 2 points. I just count. So let's see here. I'm going up 1, 2, 3, went up 4, and right 1. So it looks like my slope is 4. Okay, I got that part done. For part B, use the slope and a point and plug it in. So it's just like what we've been doing, but instead of them telling you which point, I'm going to plug one of them in. We're going to get it into y equals mx plus b at the end. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's some good thinking there. Here, now, let me explain in case some of you missed what Marcus just said. Marcus said, well, but they gave me the y-intercept here already. Why am I going to figure out what b is? If I look at this, where the x value is 0, that is my b. So b is -3. Or like on 17, wherever the x is 0, here, my b is going to be 1. So this becomes a lot like number 14 and 15. This is kind of cool. Y equals, I know my slope, I found that from the graph, for x. And I found my y-intercept from the graph. Didn't even have to calculate it. That's what I'm talking about. You probably start finding shortcuts. I like the shortcuts. So for 17, we already said b is 1. What's my slope? I go up 1, and I go right 3. So my m is 1 over 3. So it's always up or down, and left or right. Y equals m 1/3 x plus b. I was going to say, you start to see a lot of things that kind of repeat. Different ways of saying it, but it's the same type of thing. So let's see if this gets any crazier. Graph the line. Okay. No, this is it. All right, so as we flip through, same idea. Y-intercepts the number on the end. It's negative. I go down. What did I? So where am I going to go for my slope? Just up 3? Oh, that's right. Got to remember the over to the right one. 3 and right 1. 3 and right 1. And they're through. So what am I going to do on 19 then if I need to graph that one? Okay. Right. The negative only goes on one number. In this case, the 2. So down 2 and right 3. If it's a negative slope, it goes down and to the right. And that's how that's going to work. Okay, now hang tight on that. So on the equation for the next part here, Matthew's grandmother gave him $75 for his birthday. Matthew wants to save his money to buy a new Wii. Each month he adds $25 to his savings. Write an equation, slope-intercept one that describes Matthew's savings on a monthly basis. Okay, here's how this works. The money that he's just given, that he gets one time, is going to be my Y-intercept, or my B. Whatever he adds monthly, or weekly, or daily, or whatever it happens to be, is going to be my M. That's going to be my slope. So when I make my equation, it's Y equals M X plus B. So it's just like what we were doing on the ones you thought were easy, except now we're kind of having to pull it out of the problem a little bit. And then this, nope, because the X one's the one that keeps happening over and over. So same thing here. Restaurant charges $12 per hour plus a $25 non-refundable insurance cost to use the kitchen. Okay, which number is which? Okay, yep, 25 is my B. Per hour means my 12 is M. So Y. Correct. Whatever happens one time is my Y. Whatever happens more than one time is my M. Absolutely. What's that? Again. Now, I'm going to come past 22 and 23 for just a minute, because we had a couple of them earlier. So I'll be back. I just want to make sure we get everything before I go hightailing it around here. Here, strictly find the slope. Strictly figure out how many up, how many over. 1, 2, 3, 4 up. 1, 2, 3 over. Rise, over, run. Done. I skipped them. Yeah. It says an assignment still. I'm done. Good. Okay. Again. I may. Like. Yeah. I would. Yeah. I'd still end up with the right answer at the end, no. I would. So, in going from A to B, what direction am I going initially? To get from A to B? I could. That's true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that positive if I'm going down? No, it's negative. And then right, 1, 2, 3. Now here's my question. Can I reduce the fraction? What's it going to reduce to? Negative 2. Or if you put negative 2 over 1, either one's fine. It'd be half off. Yeah, we got to reduce it. Just because it's not like finishing a problem. Not reducing, that would be the equivalent of having... I went down 2 and right 1. Down 2 and right 1. I'm still on the line. It's just a simplifying thing. So if somebody has a question that says 2x equals 10, well, 2x equals 10 will give you the same thing as x equals 5. Right, but what I'm just saying is it's a simplified form type of thing. So when you're telling me, okay, I'm going down 6 and right 3, and you're right, why would I reduce it to negative 2 over 1? The equivalent of that would be, I was trying to talk of it as if I were solving an equation, because wouldn't you agree? Okay, x equals 5, let's say that's an answer to something. Well, if 2x equals 10, well, really, I know if I divide by 2, I get x equals 5. But here, I'm finished with the problem here. I'm not here. That's what we're doing with the fraction. We always want them simplified as far as we can. We just got to do it. I want to throw the weird one in next. 6. 0. Nicely done. It's probably coming. It's coming from the. Yeah, it's coming. There's a little bit of light coming in from there. So now, last thing I'm doing. They're like, oh crap, he's going to leave us with doing a few, a very few, but a few. Slope, our arch enemy for some of you. When you're doing these, label your points. It's going to make this easier. By doing that, now I can just absolutely follow what I see. Okay, I'll take my y2 minus my y1. I'll take my x2 minus my x1. And now I just got to be careful. Minus and negative becomes plus. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1. 5 minus 7 is negative 2. I can't reduce it any further. I'm going to make you knock out a couple. It's like 30 questions. I don't do like 4 or 5. I think I'm crazy. No. And then the last, let's make sure there's nothing else bad here. All right. Here on the back. There's directions on the bottom. No, I'm not. Get y alone. Minus the x. Now, here's what you have to be careful of. Right. It's negative x plus 4. It's not negative 4x. I can't put the x and the number together as one thing. They can hang out, but just not that close. So once I get it looking like y equals, now it's just like the rest of them. Do my y-intercept, which is 4. And my slope's the number in front of x. And if I don't see one, I use 1 over 1. So down 1 and right 1. Down 1 and right 1. Draw my line. Keep it simple. Good. I was going to say, in 33, since I'm trying to get y alone, plus the 12, plus the 12. We're going to end up with a lot of things in fraction / decimal form here. Yes, we are. But if I reduce 3 over 9, we reduce to 1/3, because 3 over 9 might be tricky to get on the graph. If you punch in 12 over 9 into your calculator, it's like 4/3 or 1.333333. For your intercept, that might be an easier thing to have. So it's just a little above 1. And then up 1 and over 3. Up 1 and right 3. And again, I'm going to leave you with 1 to do. I think grand total, what? I leave you with like 6 to do or 7 maybe. I don't know. If you can't get the 6 problems I left you done, especially with slope in 7 minutes, yeah, I'm frightened. I'm frightened.